Howdy there, SilverMongoose here. More than a year later. It seemed sort of unrealistic when I started this challenge in January of 2022. It was a simple challenge, basically, only play Wii games for an entire year. So I packed away my Wii U, PS3, 64, 360, 3DO, any handheld that I had, organized all my Wii games, and got started. I played a bit of other things with friends and family, but when it came to single player, it was nothing but Wii. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a lot of videos about this challenge that I have in the description, so you can check those out. So for this video, I thought I would take some time to chat about how the challenge went, mention some of the highlights, throw up some stats, and talk about the future. So first, some rough stats, which I'm sure are incorrect. In 2022, I played 26 physical games and 4 WiiWare games. I fully completed about 7 or 8 of them. A few of them I abandoned because I didn't like them, but most of them I played a decent amount and I enjoyed. Of the physical games I played, there were 3 exercise and dance games, 2 horror games, 3 sim games, 4 puzzle games, 4 action platformers, 2 adventure, and then a smattering of others, so the variety was pretty good. And the WiiWare games were all pretty interesting. I was hoping to play some driving games or shooting games, as well as more balance board games, but there's only so much time in a year, and honestly, I probably played more in 2022 than I played like any other year since early high school. You know, I focused my attention and mindfully played games. You know, I kind of told myself I want to try to play every day, even if it's only for 15 minutes before bed, and that kind of got me in a groove of playing more games than I had previously. When the challenge started, I had 37 unplayed physical games, which made up about 30% of my Wii library, and at the end, I had 55 unplayed physical games, which makes up 32% of the library now, and that's because I bought 44 Wii games. Even though I played 26 physical games, I still ended up with more unplayed games. Remember when I said this? So once I get those last 3 Wii games, I think that's basically it. And I'm going to say, no more Wii games, I'm done, I got everything I want. Yeah, well, it turns out that was not entirely true. But now I feel like I am actually done collecting for the Wii and adding to my library. Anything else I really want on the Wii, I'm not willing to pay the price of admission for, so I am basically done now. So even at the rate of playing 26 games a year and sort of rushing or not finishing a lot of them, I feel like it would still take me another 2 to 3 years to go through all of my Wii library, and honestly, I would be okay with that. Like, I enjoyed this challenge quite a bit, and I could see myself doing it for another 3 years and still enjoying it. But will I be continuing the Wii challenge? That's a question for near the end of the video. So overall, how did the year go? I thought the challenge was a lot of fun. I was tempted to play other systems and games throughout the year, but a lot of the temptation would have come from newer games on newer systems. But I don't actually own any systems that are newer than a Wii U, so it's not like the hottest new games were, tempting me to play them. Still, I have hundreds of unplayed games on a dozen or so systems, so there was still temptation to play other things. And it's not like I don't know anybody that doesn't own any newer systems that I could play games with them with. Packing away all of my other systems did alleviate a lot of the temptation, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, And after about a third of the year had passed, I wasn't really tempted by other games or systems anymore. And it did also help that I had lots of great games to look forward to, and I was actually buying more games than I was playing, because as I was learning more about the Wii and its library, as I was playing through it, I would learn about new games I hadn't heard of, so I'd get those games and get excited about playing those, so it was actually really fun and it never felt dull. Focusing on a single game system is not something I'd done since, back having an NES, which was our first system. Ever since I got my second system, a Sega Genesis, I never stopped playing the NES. when I got a PS2, that didn't mean I stopped playing my PS1, you know? I've always played everything. As soon as I get a system, I just keep playing it and I never stop. So focusing on a single system was actually kind of a unique experience for me. I did notice, though, that I did feel a bit of pressure to play more games and play a wider variety of games than I probably would have otherwise, just to kind of generate more interesting videos and content. But I don't think this is a bad thing. You know, it did lead me to playing lots of games and lots of interesting things that would have remained unplayed. Another thing I noticed is that though I wanted to make content, wanted to make videos about the Wii, like reviews and retrospectives and that sort of thing, I felt like my time was better spent actually playing these Wii games rather than talking about them. Even doing a simple 5-minute review can take over 10 hours of work, and I figured, wouldn't it be better for me to play 2 or 3 Wii games with that 10 hours and use that for the next video, rather than spending all that time on a short little review that most people aren't going to watch? It probably doesn't, make sense to anyone who's hasn't been a content creator, but for the other YouTubers out there, I'm sure you get kind of this debate that you're always holding with yourself of how much content you want to generate versus how much of the game world do you actually want to consume yourself. Did this challenge make me appreciate the Wii more? Well, I've always enjoyed playing the Wii. I was always kind of a champion for it back in the day when everyone was attacking it for being some child's toy with nothing but shovelware games, and I wasn't sure if any new appreciation would come out of this challenge. I do feel like I got a better sense and appreciation for what was, I guess, kind of this living room hub experience that the Wii was trying to create. It's something that I remember Iwata probably talking about a few times back in the day when the Wii was first coming out, that they wanted it to be a family system. And that's reflected in a lot of these Wii-like games. Games like Wii Sports or Wii Fit, those kinds of games kept track of which players of your family were getting which kinds of scores. So even if you weren't playing together, you did kind of feel like this asynchronous experience, which was fun. The Wii's image and controls were designed to bring new players and family members all around the globe to sit around and play video games. Sure, the online for the Wii wasn't very robust. There weren't a lot of games that use the online where you can play with each other. But this kind of unique sense of asynchronous living room family co-op was something that became apparent as I was playing the Wii all year. I did also gain a better appreciation for the WiiWare games and just the amount of variety and uniqueness and stories behind those titles. It was just something that I really was captured by this past year. And everyone loves some rankings, so let's talk about some games. The most disappointing games I played was Cursed Mountain. Just had bad controls. I really wanted to like it, but I couldn't. Big Brain Academy literally has 30 minutes of content. Rune Factory Tides of Destiny. I wanted farming and I didn't get it. It was just too slow, and I just really wanted to plant some vegetables, and they wanted me to walk around on a big golem. It's not what I was looking for. The most surprising games that I played. Dawn of Discovery, lots of content packed within this cute little game with great controls that I didn't even know existed before. SpongeBob SquigglePants for the U-Draw, a solid experience that imitates WarioWare, made by a good developer on a failed peripheral. This really came out of left field and was a lot more fun than really it should be. Animal Crossing City Folk. What was surprising about this game was that it held my attention through the entire year. Back in the day, I was not a fan of this because I felt it was too slow and had too much to do with the first game, but for some reason, in 2022, it did it for me. But what were my top 3 games of my Year of Wii 2022 challenge? When thinking about this, it came down to which games I remember actually wanting to get back to, games I thought about playing when I wasn't even playing them, and I was looking forward to playing them whenever I got home. The first one is The Munchables. Lots of classic game fun, sort of mindless, but lots of charm, very Japanese and quirky and fun. It was just a nice, cute little fun experience. Wario Land Shake It, just beautiful graphics, slapping soundtrack, full of so much personality. And yes, one of my favorite games was Mystery Case Files Malgrave Incident, a game I didn't even expect to enjoy, but it had just such a good atmosphere and was unique and relaxing, and it was just, what I needed at the time. And special mention to Maboshi Arcade, or the 3-Shape Arcade, which I believe is still exclusive to WiiWare, one of the most interesting and unique games I've ever played. Just hasn't been replicated in any other form as far as I can tell, despite the fact that it's just such a simple concept. So I have to give it a special mention for sure. But what about the future? This leads us to another question. In 2023, will I be continuing my Wii challenge? No, I will not. I did consider it. Honestly, I did, and I was tempted. And I considered a few other things, too. Another one was doing a challenge with another system, like the 3DO. Or I have a PSP I've barely touched. I have an N64 multi-cart that has every game on there. I have an extensive Xbox library I haven't played too much of. Not to mention, I bought an embarrassing amount of digital games on the Wii U and 3DS when it announced that it was closing. I have entire games on there, like Fatal Frame for the Wii U, or games like Pocket Jockey on the 3DS that people have been telling me to play since it came out. But in the end, I think it'd been long enough since I'd gone without a new system. The last home console game that was brand new that I bought was Breath of the Wild in 2017. And boy, if anything was going to get me to buy a new system, it would be the sequel to Breath of the Wild, one of my top games of all time. So, with Tears of the Kingdom finally on its way, I took the plunge, and I finally got a Switch, and I have been enjoying that over the holidays and in the new year. If it weren't for Zelda coming out, I probably could have held off for a newer Switch, whenever that comes. But it does kind of feel nice to sort of end the year with a new Nintendo system, So, that's that. That's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who followed me throughout this past year on this challenge, and who provided comments and questions and recommendations, and really was just it was a lot of fun to interact with you as I did this challenge throughout this year. Having videos to work on and to look forward to, and being able to share these new games and these new experiences with you made the challenge much more fun than it would have been otherwise. So thanks. This has been SilverMongooseVideos, and remember, classic gaming never gets old.